In this video, we will cover the series Spider-Man 1994 from beginning to end in detail. The series follows the life of Peter Parker on Earth 92131, where Gwen Stacy is sadly dead after being engaged to Peter, and Uncle Ben is, well, dead as ever. In this universe, during a lab presentation of Farley Stillwell, a spider got in the way of his radioactive beam and got genetically enhanced. This spider then bit Peter and enhanced his DNA as well. Thus, Peter obtained his powers and began his journey as Spider-Man. Alright, now let's get into the show. In the first episode, a reptilian creature is roaming free and kidnapping people, leading Spider-Man to investigate. He learns that the villain is Dr. Curt Connors, whose experiment to regrow his severed arm went haywire and turned him into this lizard. Eventually, our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man turns Dr. Curt back to his human form. Later, he sells the photos of the lizard to Jonah Jameson to gain bonus money, which he then gives to Aunt May to help with their financial struggles. Later, Peter tutors a fellow student, Felicia, but is disappointed when she insists that they can't date. No luck there, Peter. When Peter notices someone following him, he learns that Jonah has sent an investigator, Mac Gargan, to see how Peter takes photos of villains and Spider-Man. Peter, in his hero costume, teaches them a lesson, prompting Gargan to seek revenge. Jameson offers Gargan an opportunity for revenge, leading to Gargan's transformation into the Scorpion through the Neogenic Recombinator, which was created by Farley Stillwell. The Scorpion initially defeats Spider-Man, but eventually turns on Jameson, blaming him for his monstrous transformation. In the end, they manage to stop him from harming the city, and Felicia agrees to date him in the future. A few days later, Spencer Smythe introduces the formidable Black Widow Spider Slayer to Norman Osborn, intended to eliminate Spider-Man. Osborn also visits the Kingpin, and they conspire to eliminate Spider-Man while concealing their involvement. At a charity ball, Spider-Man battles the Black Widow, but the situation escalates when Kingpin's men join the fray. A fire breaks out, and in the chaos, Spencer seemingly perishes, leaving his son Alistair to collaborate with Kingpin to create more Spider Slayer robots. Fueled by revenge, Alistair attacks Spider-Man with a rebuilt Black Widow Spider Slayer and the Tarantula Spider Slayer, leading to his defeat and capture. After some shenanigans, Alistair combines the Black Widow, Tarantula, and Scorpion into a very powerful Spider Slayer. Spider-Man ultimately uses a bomb to destroy the Scorpion Spider Slayer, thwarting Smythe's plans. Despite the intense battle, Peter Parker's personal life takes an unexpected turn when he opens the door to his blind date and finds none other than Mary Jane Watson. Talk about a lovely surprise. The Metropolitan Museum is robbed, and Peter Parker watches in disbelief as news reports suggest that Spider-Man is the culprit. Later, at the crime scene, he encounters Mysterio, who creates illusions to confuse onlookers. A confrontation between Spider-Man and Mysterio leads to Spider-Man's apparent demise, which is publicized by Jonah, who hails Mysterio as New York's new hero. Feeling dejected, Peter initially contemplates quitting Spider-Man, but ultimately decides to investigate further. With Detective Lee's help, they uncover Mysterio's true identity as Quentin Beck, a disgruntled film crew member who swore revenge after a helicopter accident on the Brooklyn Bridge. Spider-Man defeats Mysterio and clears his name, leading to Beck's arrest. After getting dumped by Mary Jane for missing their date, poor Spidey, Peter sets his eyes on Felicia. But his date is disrupted when Dr. Octopus kidnaps her and demands ransom money from her mother. Jonah broadcasts a message but insults Doc Ock, leading to a personal demand for Jameson to deliver the money. When Jameson falls into Doc Ock's trap, Spider-Man intervenes, but Doc Ock captures him as well, increasing his ransom demand. In a showdown, Spider-Man manages to immobilize Doc Ock's tentacles and save Felicia and Jameson, leading to Dr. Octopus's arrest by the police. Two astronauts, John Jameson and Paul Stevenson, bring the Prometheum X and an alien black life form from an asteroid, but they crash on the George Washington Bridge due to an alien attack. Kingpin seizes the opportunity and sends Rhino to steal the Prometheum X, leading to a confrontation with Spider-Man. Eddie Brock photographs the event and frames Spider-Man for the theft, causing Jameson to put a bounty on his his head. The alien then attaches itself to Spider-Man, enhancing his powers and leading to aggressive behavior. Meanwhile, the Rhino delivers the Promethium X to the Kingpin, who plans to showcase its power to potential buyers. Spider-Man, driven by the alien-enhanced aggression, confronts Rhino and nearly kills him before finally restraining himself. Jameson learns about Rhino's involvement in the theft and lifts the bounty off of Spider-Man's head, while Peter discovers that the black alien is a symbiote and seeks help from Dr. Kurt Connors. He also learns that the symbiote is very weak to high-pitched sounds, which will become important later on. Meanwhile, Promethium X is revealed to have transmuted into lead, rendering it worthless. Kingpin's clients refuse to pay, leading to their anger, and the symbiote bonding with Brock sets the stage for Venom's emergence. As Spider-Man swings through the city, he's ambushed by Rhino and Shocker, who defeat and bury him under rubble. Venom, seeking revenge for Eddie Brock's ruined life and Peter Parker's rejection of the symbiote, arrives and defeats Rhino and Shocker before fighting Spider-Man himself. Venom captures and threatens to reveal Spider-Man's identity to the public. Spider-Man manages to escape, but Venom continues to stalk him, endangering Aunt May and Mary Jane in the process. Spider-Man lures Venom to the launch site of James Jameson's space probe, where the noise of the launch forces the symbiote to separate from Brock. Spider-Man webs the symbiote to the probe and sends it back into outer space as the probe launches. Crisis averted. Well, at least for now. Next up, we have the Hobgoblin, hired to assassinate Wilson Fisk by Norman Osborn, who is thwarted in his attempt by Peter Parker as Spider-Man, leading to a chase and confrontation. In the midst of his investigations, Hobgoblin discovers Kingpin's true identity and makes a deal to work with him against Osborn. Meanwhile, Peter considers moving out to share an apartment with Harry Osborn, while Aunt May plans to move in with Mary Jane Watson. The situation takes a dire turn when Hobgoblin kidnaps Harry, causing Aunt May to suffer a stroke. Hobgoblin delivers Harry to Kingpin, but when Kingpin delays payment, the villain turns against him. As Hobgoblin prepares to target Fisk once more, he encounters Spider-Man seeking vengeance for Harry's capture and Aunt May's condition. In a dramatic showdown, Spider-Man confronts the vengeful Hobgoblin, but suffers a temporary defeat. Seeking answers, Spider-Man questions Norman Osborn about the reasons behind the Hobgoblin's kidnapping of his son Harry, only to be met with cryptic reasons. The Hobgoblin returns to the Kingpin, but is betrayed when the crime lord learns of his treachery, prompting a battle and Hobgoblin's rise as the new Kingpin of crime. Norman reluctantly joins forces with Fisk and Smythe to rescue Harry, and Spider-Man is recruited to aid in the rescue mission. Spider-Man successfully thwarts the Hobgoblin's plans and saves Harry, while Fisk reclaims his position as the Kingpin. In a final confrontation, Spider-Man prevents the Hobgoblin from exacting revenge on Norman, causing the Goblin to fall into the water. Sometime later, the Chameleon, an international criminal, escapes from S.H.I.E.L.D. agents at an airport and eludes capture by taking on various disguises. Jonah Jameson unwittingly becomes involved when he's kidnapped by a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Colonel Nick Fury, who is alive despite Jameson having published his obituary. The Chameleon infiltrates the Daily Bugle, assuming the forms of Jameson, Robbie Robertson, and Peter Parker to steal security plans for a United Nations conference. During the conference, he attempts to assassinate VIPs, but is thwarted by Spider-Man, who exposes his true identity. The Chameleon's final attempt involves disguising himself as Peter Parker and using a sniper rifle, but Spider-Man stops him, causing his capture by S.H.I.E.L.D. And the conference concludes with thanks from Fury to Spider-Man for his assistance. Spider-Man saves the day once again. The Kingpin, seeking to eliminate Spider-Man, orchestrates a prison break, releasing the Chameleon and assembling the Insidious Six, a team of supervillains consisting of Scorpion, Mysterio, Shocker, Rhino, Dr. Octopus, and of course Chameleon himself. At this point, Spider-Man is experiencing a decline in his powers due to ongoing DNA changes and fails to stop them. He seeks help from Dr. Connors, who explains that his DNA is still evolving due to the spider bite that gave him the powers. The Insidious Six capture Aunt May to lure Spider-Man, and he faces them at a warehouse set up by Mysterio to resemble a clinic. Spider-Man is overpowered, leading to his unmasking by the villains. But since he performs poorly due to the DNA changes, They're all like, "Come on, you can't be Spider-Man." Meanwhile, a guy named Silvermane incites a war against Kingpin's criminal empire. After some shenanigans, Aunt May is safe, the Insidious Six disbands, and Peter's complex transformation continues as Dr. Connors warns him of potential mutations. Peter also faces romantic disappointments as Felicia Hardy is dating Michael Morbius, and his evolving situation brings uncertainty to his future. Sometime later, a mysterious thief is on the loose and Spider-Man is wrongly suspected. He tries to stop a museum heist by a water-manipulating thief, Hydro Man, but ends up falling into eel-infested waters. Spider-Man escapes and later follows Mary Jane to meet her ex, Maury Bench, who reveals himself as Hydro Man and attacks. After a fight, Hydro Man threatens to flood the city, but Spider-Man immobilizes him using special web shooters. Hydro Man dissipates when lured away from water sources by Mary Jane. In the end, Peter takes Mary Jane on a date to the fair. Spider-Man is in dire straits, fearing his mutation might turn him into a monster. Seeking help, he visits Professor Xavier's mansion, but gets mistaken as a threat by the X-Men. Meanwhile, Herbert Landon meets with the Hobgoblin, who blackmails him over his double-crossing dealings with the Kingpin. Landon attempts to eliminate the Hobgoblin, but fails. Spider-Man, after consulting with Professor Xavier, realizes that there's no cure for his mutation. Later, at a Brand Corporation conference, the Hobgoblin disrupts the event. Wolverine, suspecting Spider-Man's involvement in Beast's disappearance, confronts him. As they clash, Hobgoblin prepares to strike them both with a deadly bomb. Spider-Man and Wolverine join forces to investigate Herbert Landon's sinister intentions. While battling Landon's security forces, they stumble upon his research and witness an experiment meant to end mutant abilities, but horribly transforms Landon into a monstrous slug-like creature. Landon goes on a rampage, absorbing electrical energy and growing larger. Spider-Man, Wolverine, and the X-Men combine their efforts to stop him, ultimately saving the day. They also uncover Landon's assistant, Genevieve, as a mutant with telekinetic powers. With Landon's mutation reversed and his research destroyed, they offer Genevieve help in embracing her mutancy. Meanwhile, Spider-Man's mutation worsens, leading him to consider Dr. Mariah Crawford's experimental serum as a potential cure. She cautions him about the risks, but allows him to take it. Peter stores the serum in his university locker, where Michael Morbius, a fellow student, discovers it and mistakenly believes it could win him a competition. Morbius uses the serum and a neogenic device, but an accident transforms him into a vampire-like creature with a craving for plasma. He terrorizes the city, feeding on victims, until Spider-Man confronts him. Morbius flees, and Peter's pain continues, with him sprouting 4 extra arms. This leads him to hide from Aunt May and avoid Mary Jane's date invitation. Meanwhile, everyone's favorite hero, the Punisher, saves a wealthy girl from kidnappers, but refrains from killing one of them, leading to the thug's escape. Michael Morbius continues his plasma draining spree, and Spider-Man is mistakenly accused of his crimes in the media. The Punisher decides to capture Spider-Man, leading to a confrontation between the two. Spider-Man tracks down Morbius, who is also being pursued by the Punisher, but during the encounter, Spider-Man's mutation escalates, transforming him into the monstrous Man-Spider, which of course attacks the Punisher. The Punisher escapes, narrowly, and Dr. Mariah hires Kraven the Hunter to assist in capturing Man-Spider. Meanwhile, Mary Jane Watson and Aunt May, clueless as ever, report Peter is missing to the police. Man-Spider seeks refuge in the ESU building, where he encounters Michael Morbius. Morbius attacks Deborah Whitman and Flash Thompson, but the Man-Spider saves them from Morbius's plasma-draining intentions. Punisher and Kraven form an uneasy alliance, and with the help of Mariah, they administer a serum to the Man-Spider to restore him to his normal self. Meanwhile, Michael Morbius steals the neogenic recombinator from ESU, but he's confronted by Blade the Vampire Hunter. A fight ensues, and Morbius nearly kills Blade before Spider-Man intervenes, saving the Vampire Hunter. Recognizing the threat that Morbius poses, Blade and Spider-Man decide to join forces to confront and stop him. Back at home, Mary Jane Watson invites him to to a meeting of ESU students to discuss the plasma disorder. Meanwhile, Felicia Hardy, devastated by Morbius's apparent disappearance, decides to pursue a relationship with Harry Osborn instead. On the other hand, an uneasy alliance is formed with Detective Lee, and they all pursue Morbius before he can turn everyone into vampires. During the struggle, Morbius accidentally triggers the neogenic Recombinator, mutating him further into a monstrous vampire-like creature. After saving Aunt May and filling Felicia on Morbius, Blade, Spider-Man, and Terry part ways, and Morbius goes into hibernation in a cave. Sometime later, archaeologists discover the Tablet of Time in an ancient pyramid, piquing the interest of crime lords like the Kingpin and Silvermane. Everyone tries to get a hold of it until Smythe's robot, hired by Kingpin, crashes into Dr. Connor's lab and steals the artifact. Smythe later kidnaps Connors, prompting Spider-Man to confront the Mega Slayer and leading to Connor's transformation into the Lizard during the chaos. Additionally, Tombstone, Silvermane's new recruit, kidnaps Kingpin's wife, Vanessa Fisk, to force him to hand over the tablet, setting the stage for further confrontations and clashes in the story. After Smythe's Mega Slayer fails to rescue them, a series of double crosses ensue. Smythe initially agrees to exchange hostages with Silvermane, but later turns the tables and tries to take everyone hostage himself. In the chaos, Spider-Man intervenes, and during a battle, Alyssa Silvermane accidentally reveals her identity to him while immobilizing the hero. She then escapes with Spider-Man in a helicopter. Smythe manages to locate Silvermane's hideout by tracking a spider tracer left on the Mega Slayer, leading to a confrontation between the Lizard and Silvermane, resulting in Silvermane being transformed into a baby. As the hideout is destroyed, Spider-Man rescues Dr. Connors and his wife, while Hammerhead delivers the Tablet of Time to Kingpin, who subsequently orders its disposal. Hammerhead ends up selling the tablet to Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture. The Vulture then attacks Norman Osborn to regain his youth, but is foiled by Spider-Man. Deborah Whitman becomes involved with Toomes at her research lab, and later, Spider-Man tries to stop Vulture from draining more youth. In the process, Vulture drains Spider-Man's youth and powers, hence becoming a formidable foe. And Spider-Man? Yeah, he's now Spider-Old Man. Now, an old Spider-Man fakes his death and escapes, but he also has to deal with the fear of a permanent transformation. Meanwhile, the Vulture experiences Spider-Man's DNA mutation, turns into Man-Spider, and of course, seeks help from Dr. Connors. Also, the Scorpion seeks Farley Stillwell in hopes that he can turn him back to normal. They both cross paths and team up to help each other. When an old Peter arrives at Dr. Connors, he double-crosses them and gives Peter his powers back. After a confrontation and explosion, Spider-Man's mutation disease is cured, and he regains his youth and powers. Afterward, Mary Jane goes missing, and Peter's investigation leads him to an encounter with ninjas and super strength. Doctor Strange arrives to help, but warns Peter to stay out of it, revealing that the ninjas are under the control of Baron Mordo, who wants the Wand of Watum to free an evil being called Dormammu. Eventually, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange confront Mordo, and Spider-Man briefly ventures into Dormammu's realm with the wand. They rescue Mary Jane and return home, but Doctor Strange senses they're being watched, hinting at another threat. No rest for the wicked. Later, during a demonstration of the Argon Matrix laser, hosted by Anastasia Hardy, Dr. Octopus interrupts, believing that credit for the invention is being stolen. Spider-Man confronts Doc Ock, leading to a battle in the medical lab and an explosion. Of course, Spider-Man is blamed for the damage by J. Jonah Jameson. Meanwhile, Robbie gives Peter a letter requesting Spider-Man's visit to a young fan named Tana. Initially reluctant, Peter eventually meets Tana, shares his origin story, and explains his decision to quit being Spider-Man. However, Spider-Man is ambushed by Doc Ock and his Octobot, leading to a defeat and Tana's escape. Dr. Octopus defeats Spider-Man with his Octobot, takes him to his hideout, and uses the neuroneutralizer to brainwash him into believing that they're criminal partners. Tana, the young fan, sneaks into Doc Ock's car and witnesses the events. She escapes and seeks help, ultimately teaming up with a cab driver named Mousy. Together, they follow Doc Ock and Spider-Man to prevent their criminal activities. They discover Doc Ock's plans to steal a rare metal alloy and the Argon Matrix laser. When Tana and Mousy confront Doc Ock, they are captured. However, with the help of other cab drivers, they rescue Spider-Man and defeat Doc Ock, restoring Spider-Man's memory. Spider-Man then takes Tana home and reveals his secret identity to her before leaving. Following the explosion at Oscorp, Norman Osborn is presumed dead, leaving Harry devastated and angry at Oscorp's board members. The board members continue working on the chemical gas formula under pressure from the Kingpin. Meanwhile, a mysterious Green Goblin begins kidnapping Oscorp board members. Spider-Man suspects that Harry is behind these abductions, but it turns out to be Norman Osborn himself, having survived the explosion and gained enhanced strength. The two battle, and Spider-Man ultimately saves Norman from a flooding fortress. Harry, who has now discovered how his father survived, helps rescue them. Norman later returns to the public, and Spider-Man receives a heartfelt thank you kiss from Felicia Hardy for saving her mother and for being there for her. However, he tells her that they can't date since it can put her life at risk. The two also help a guy named Robert turn away from a criminal path, and Felicia starts dating a guy named Jason. Damn, this guy is on fire! After a complicated series of events involving his arrest and an attack orchestrated by Richard Fisk, the Kingpin's son, Peter Parker is framed for treason and accused of selling government secrets. With the help of his lawyer, Matt Murdock, aka the Daredevil, Peter narrowly escapes a suffocation attempt and goes into hiding. Meanwhile, Peter's Aunt May suffers a stroke due to the stress of his conviction. Determined to clear his name, Spider-Man investigates Fisktronics, the company where he had been working, to find evidence. However, he encounters Daredevil, who initially mistakes Spider-Man for an imposter. Their fight is interrupted by the Kingpin's men, who open fire and plant a bomb to destroy the evidence against them. With the help of Daredevil and Detective Terry Lee, they manage to escape and retrieve crucial evidence that clears Peter's name, but fails to capture the true mastermind, the Kingpin, who orchestrates these schemes from the shadows. Eventually, Richard Fisk, Agent Susan Choi, and the Chameleon are arrested, while Peter's aunt, May Parker, recovers from her stroke. Daredevil and Spider-Man team up to take down the Kingpin, who manages to escape, but they secure the evidence needed to bring him to justice, setting the stage for a continued battle against crime and corruption in New York City. Soon after, Peter learns of Mary Jane's engagement with Harry Osborn. He also receives a call from Alistair Smythe, who claims to have evidence against the Kingpin. However, Smythe is captured and reprogrammed, causing him to crash the engagement ceremony of Mary Jane and Harry. After a series of events, Smythe turns against Kingpin and Landon, Spidey saves everyone, and Mary Jane gives Harry the ring back, claiming that she loves someone else. I swear to God, these relationships are so complicated. The Venom symbiote makes a return by crashing into Central Park, and Eddie, having a past, reunites with it, becoming Venom once again. He is then ordered by the evil being Dormammu to retrieve an interdimensional probe from Stark Enterprises. Venom attacks the demonstration at Stark Enterprises, and Spider-Man, along with War Machine, tries to stop him. Dormammu ensures that the probe is secured, while another symbiote bonds with a criminal, Cletus Cassidy, creating the Deadly Carnage, who joins Venom in their quest to kill Spider-Man. After delivering the probe to Dormammu, Venom and Carnage fight each other, with Venom eventually leaving. Carnage drains the life force of countless civilians until Spider-Man and Iron Man confront him. Venom returns to assist, but eventually allies with Spider-Man and Iron Man to save Ashley Kafka from Carnage and Mordo. Carnage drains the life force of several victims, including Ashley, before Spider-Man, Venom, and Iron Man challenge Mordo and Carnage in Dormammu's realm. They ultimately banish Carnage and Venom, closing the interdimensional portal and saving the victims. Later, a random guy named Lenny Luntz finds and accidentally activates a black portal with a time dilation accelerator, drawing Spider-Man into the situation. The Hobgoblin seizes the device and uses it for bank robberies, but needs more power packs. He partners with the Kingpin, who of course secretly plans to double-cross him. Norman Osborn, under the influence of his Green Goblin persona, agrees to meet with Kingpin to reveal the Hobgoblin's identity. Spider-Man tries to thwart the Kingpin and Hobgoblin's heist, leading to a confrontation that involves the Green Goblin. During the chaos, Jason Phillips is revealed as the Hobgoblin, and Felicia Hardy discovers his secret. The Green Goblin forces them into a portal, but Spider-Man intervenes, ultimately leading to Jason's arrest and Felicia's devastation. The Green Goblin then creates chaos and stalks Spider-Man using the time dilation accelerator. Later, during Harry Osborn's birthday party, Norman hints at knowing Spider-Man's identity, leading Peter to cause a diversion to protect it. However, Norman kidnaps Mary Jane and takes her to the George Washington Bridge, where she falls into limbo through a portal. In a fierce battle, Spider-Man defeats the Green Goblin, who falls into limbo as well, and apparently dies. However, this event leaves Peter devastated as he assumes Mary Jane is dead. Spider-Man is overcome with grief and self-blame after the apparent death of Mary Jane at the hands of the Green Goblin. Meanwhile, at the Daily Bugle, Jonah Jameson initially tries to exploit the tragedy to smear Spider-Man, but Robbie Robertson defends the hero's intentions. Later, Robbie is framed for a crime that he didn't commit and sent to Rooker's Island, a prison with connections to the Kingpin. Spider-Man investigates the frame-up, leading to the discovery of Kingpin's involvement and the rescue of Robbie. In a retrial, Robbie is proven innocent, and he thanks Spider-Man for reaffirming his belief in the hero's goodness. Spider-Man visits Felicia Hardy for comfort, but ends up fighting Dr. Octopus, who's blackmailing Felicia's mother. Doc Ock escapes, but teams up with the Kingpin, and together they discover John Hardesky, Felicia's father, in S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. Why do they want him? Well, they plan to extract the super soldier formula from him. Peter learns that he possessed the formula from spying on Captain America's creation during World War II. Doc Ock abducts Felicia and reunites her with her father, who refuses to reveal the formula to the Kingpin. Now, sometime later, Felicia Hardy, transformed into Black Cat by the Kingpin using the super soldier serum, is forced to commit crimes for him. She encounters Spider-Man during a heist, but escapes. Later, John helps her escape, where Black Cat and Spider-Man form an alliance and are chased by S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. They manage to save John, but are ambushed by Dr. Octopus. S.H.I.E.L.D. intervenes, causing a ship explosion, and John is taken back into custody. Meanwhile, Aunt May moves in with Anna Watson to support her after Mary Jane's death. On the other hand, Peter is attacked by Kraven the Hunter, who seeks a serum for a hidden purpose. Spider-Man and Black Cat attempt to stop Kraven, but they fail. Later, they learn that he was seeking a cure for his girlfriend Mariah after her transformation due to a virus. Attempts to cure her partially succeed, but Mariah chooses to remain somewhat transformed. In the end, Peter and Harry Osborn become roommates again to support each other in their struggles. Later, Spider-Man and Black Cat try to stop a crime, but Black Cat gets captured by Alistair Smythe, who aims to use the neogenics to restore Silvermane's adulthood. He tasks Spider-Man with capturing either the Scorpion or the Vulture in exchange for Black Cat's freedom. Spider-Man brings Scorpion to Smythe, but he captures Spider-Man too, planning to use Scorpion's DNA to revert Spider-Man to a child. Vulture, freed by Scorpion's partner, intervenes, causing chaos. Eventually, Spider-Man is freed, and Vulture and Silvermane's ages are swapped due to a malfunction. On the other hand, Deborah Whitman and her team of scientists revive Michael Morbius from hibernation with the intention of restoring him to human form. But a power surge disrupts their experiment. Morbius awakens when Shocker and Herbert Landon attempt to abduct him. It's revealed that Landon was the secret founder of the Herbert Foundation, which funded the research to find and cure Morbius. Once awake, Morbius resumes his plasma draining spree, but Landon and Shocker capture him. Kingpin and Landon seek to unlock the secrets of neogenics through Morbius's analysis, but Spider-Man and Black Cat intervene. Morbius escapes, drinking Landon's plasma in the process, leaving Landon in critical condition, while Kingpin and Shocker manage to flee the scene. Following Morbius's reemergence, Black Cat realizes she must confront and potentially destroy him to halt his plasma draining spree. Blade, on the other hand, is hunting a female vampire in Europe, later revealed to be his own mother, Miriam. After a chase, Blade decides to return to New York City to track down Morbius. Meanwhile, Miriam approaches Morbius, seeking the Neogenic Recombinator's location potion, which she believes can transform humans into vampires. She later uses it to convert people into vampires, and Morbius, Black Cat, Spider-Man, Terry, and Whistler join forces to hunt Miriam. Blade also arrives, and they attempt to stop her, but Blade leaves with her to cure her vampirism. Miriam then captures Blade and of course plans to turn everyone into vampires using the Recombinator, but the heroes thwart her, returning the transformed people to humans. Blade pursues his mother, while Black Cat and Morbius join him in Europe to battle Miriam. Harry Osborn is plagued by hallucinations of his late father, driving him to the brink of insanity. Consumed by his desire for revenge, he adopts the persona of the Green Goblin, following in his father's footsteps. Harry's sole mission is to destroy Spider-Man, believing him responsible for his father's death. Meanwhile, Anna Watson crosses paths with the vigilante known as the Punisher and confides in him about her niece Mary Jane's disappearance. She suspects her friend's nephew, Peter Parker, might be involved in her vanishing, prompting the Punisher to investigate. As the mystery deepens, Mary Jane suddenly reemerges, while Harry's deteriorating mental state lands him in the Ravencroft Institute for treatment. Mysterio infiltrates a pirate-themed fundraising event and attempts to steal a valuable treasure. Spider-Man intervenes, capturing Mysterio and sending him back to prison. Later, Mary Jane is offered a leading role in a film after the former actress Miranda Wilson suffered deformation at the bridge incident. Strange occurrences draw Mary Jane and Spider-Man to the studio, where they uncover Mysterio's plan to destroy Spider-Man. The situation escalates as Mary Jane is captured and threatened with a body-swapping scheme by Miranda Wilson, but Spider-Man and Mysterio intervene. A mishap causes an explosion, causing the apparent demise of Miranda Wilson and Mysterio. In the end, Spider-Man proposes to Mary Jane, who confesses that she is in fact in love with Peter Parker. Peter then removes his mask, revealing his secret identity to Mary Jane. He then asks her to marry him again, and she accepts, and they both decide that Dr. Connors should do the honors of giving away the bride. However, things take a tragic turn when both of them are kidnapped, and the kidnappers are a trio of lizards who claim Connors is their father. Turns out, Connors poured his DNA into the sink, and these three reptiles gained intelligence after drinking it. Eventually, with the help of Connors' wife Margaret, they managed to turn them back to normal. Later, Spider-Man crosses paths with Hobie Brown, once a petty crook who found himself in trouble with his crime boss Iceberg after conspiring with fellow gang members to betray him. Iceberg sought to eliminate Hobie, but he managed to escape, only to be captured by the police and sent to Rooker's Island. While in prison, Hobie saved Richard Fisk from a murder attempt, leading to Kingpin's intervention to clear Hobie's name and secure his release. In gratitude, Kingpin provided Hobie with a stealth battle suit, and Hobie adopted the persona of the Prowler, with the intention of taking down Iceberg. However, the suit required recharging, and Kingpin held control over Prowler, threatening to activate a self-destruct device if he removed the suit. Now desperate, Prowler seeks Spider-Man's help, and together they infiltrate Kingpin's base to uncover a way to remove the self-destruct device. They succeed in freeing him from Kingpin's grasp, and Hobie promises to take the good side from now on. Aw, look at my boy Petey turning criminals into saints. So the wedding preparations are taking place, and Aunt May kindly gives her and Uncle Ben's rings to Peter for the wedding. However, things go south very quickly when Scorpion not only steals the rings, but also abducts Aunt May. While Spider-Man manages to rescue Aunt May, Harry's condition at the Ravencroft Institute becomes increasingly unstable as he turns into Green Goblin once again. Later, Wilson Fisk offers to pay for the wedding since Peter saved his life once, which causes Jameson to be jealous and provide financial aid too. Meanwhile, Harry forms an alliance with Alistair Smythe, and they plan to crash the wedding with Green Goblin, Scorpion, and robots. After crashing the wedding, Harry forces Mary Jane to marry him, but when her friend Liz expresses her love for Harry, he allows Peter and Jane to get married, ending the event on a pretty positive note. Aunt May is selling her old home, prompting Nick Fury to bring out retired agent Keen Marlowe to handle the situation. Simultaneously, a supposedly deceased German scientist is discovered to be alive and kidnapped, leading to intriguing reactions from Robbie Robertson. The Kingpin assembles a new version of the Insidious 6, substituting the late Mysterio with the Vulture. Marlowe, who turns out to be a friend of the Parker family, reveals to Peter that his parents were believed to be Russian double agents, motivating Peter to seek the truth. Peter convinces Jonah Jameson to finance a trip to Russia with Robbie to uncover the reality behind his parents' demise. Once there, Spider-Man and Robbie are left with a time bomb while attempting to prevent one of Robbie's contacts from being abducted by Silver Sable and her wild pack. Robbie Robertson, with his past expertise as a bomb diffuser, successfully diffuses the dynamite, saving both his and Spider-Man's lives. Together, they unravel the truth that Richard and Mary Parker were killed as American loyalists, not double agents, after acquiring a dangerous doomsday device created by Red Skull. The situation escalates when Red Skull's son makes himself known, along with the mercenary Silver Sable and her wild pack. In the end, the Kingpin manages to reclaim the Doomsday device, but as Peter and Robbie return to the United States, Peter is determined to unveil his parents' genuine legacy to the world. Peter also learns about the 6 Forgotten Warriors from Omar Mosley, a friend of Robbie's. You see, during World War II, a serum was administered to create a super soldier to turn the tide of war, and Steve, who was in the army, was chosen as the lucky volunteer. However, a German spy who witnessed the transformation destroyed the lab, thus destroying the research and killing the leading doctor in the explosion. Sometime later, a team of scientists gathered to recreate a serum, and 5 volunteers were administered an imperfect version of the super soldier serum that created Captain America. These volunteers gained unique powers, each different from Captain America's abilities. These powers were not permanent, and they had to use special keys to access them. Alongside Captain America, the group embarked on various adventures during the war. However, in a confrontation with the Red Skull involving a doomsday device, Captain America and the Red Skull became trapped in a vortex. After the war ended, the remaining 5 members were ordered to disband, so they just went on with their daily lives while protecting the keys that held their powers. In the present day, Spider-Man searches for these warriors, while the Kingpin sends members of the Insidious 6 to collect 6 statue keys required for a dangerous doomsday weapon. 2 of the warriors, Whizzer and Miss America, have their keys stolen, and the Destroyer becomes the next target. The Scorpion and the Shocker attack Aunt May's home, revealing that Keen Marlowe is the Destroyer. But Spider-Man intervenes to save Aunt May, Aunt Anna, and Mary Jane. Despite their efforts, the Scorpion and the Shocker manage to steal the statue key from the Destroyer. Spider-Man, along with the Destroyer and the 6 Forgotten Warriors, continue their quest to prevent the Kingpin and the Insidious 6 from obtaining the Doomsday Weapon statue keys. They're joined by Black Marvel, Miss America, and the Whizzer, despite facing age-related challenges. However, the Chameleon's betrayal, as he teams up with Kragov, the Red Skull's son, leads to the resurrection of the original Red Skull. Captain America also returns due to the temporal disturbance, and he swiftly takes on all parties involved. The episode escalates with the release of giant robots, prompting a united front of heroes, villains, and Silver Sable's Wild Pack to combat the mechanical threat. While Silver Sable and Spider-Man pursue the Red Skull and Kragov, the Kingpin seeks vengeance against the Chameleon for his treacherous actions. In the climactic conclusion, the Red Skull unveils his ultimate plan, revealing that his son Reinhold is the true Doomsday Weapon, granting him formidable electric powers and the persona Electro. However, Reinhold turns against his father, leading to devastating consequences as he unleashes his powers, decimating everyone in his path, including S.H.I.E.L.D. The battle takes a tragic turn when Mary Jane is electrocuted. Spider-Man and Captain America, using their ingenuity, devise a plan to stop Electro. With Captain America and the Red Skull returning to the time loop, Spider-Man taunts Electro into disrupting the time loop as well, causing Electro to vanish. As the remaining American warriors are celebrated as heroes, Peter returns to Mary Jane, promising never to give up being Spider-Man. In this final storyline, Spider-Man faces his most significant challenge yet when Madam Web introduces him to the Beyonder, a powerful interdimensional being with godlike abilities. The Beyonder wants to conduct an experiment to see if good is stronger than evil. He summons a formidable group of villains, including the Red Skull and Dr. Doom, to conquer a peaceful planet. To combat this threat, Spider-Man calls up the aid of some of Marvel's mightiest heroes, including the Fantastic Four, Storm, Captain America, and Iron Man. Together, they join forces to confront the villains and prevent their nefarious plans from coming to fruition, setting the stage for an epic battle of good versus evil on an intergalactic scale. Dr. Octopus and Alistair Smythe form an alliance with the Red Skull, posing a formidable threat. In response, Spider-Man recruits Black Cat to join him in facing this powerful adversary. Together with Captain America, Iron Man, and an unexpected ally in the Lizard, who has switched sides, they embark on a perilous journey across a desolate wasteland. Their objective is to launch a daring assault on the Red Skull's empire and confront the impending danger head-on. After successfully defeating the Red Skull, Spider-Man and his team set out to meet up with the Fantastic Four, only to be met with an unexpected ambush. They soon learn that Dr. Doom has abducted the Thing, one of Fantastic Four's members. Determined to rescue their comrade, the heroes embark on a mission to infiltrate Dr. Doom's empire. To their astonishment, they find that this supposedly villainous realm is, in fact, a tranquil and idyllic paradise, raising questions about the true nature of their adversary's intentions. However, Doom's true nature is soon put to light, and the gang works together to defeat him. Turns out, this was the final test arranged by the Beyonder, who claims good is stronger than evil. In this final storyline, the Beyonder transports Spider-Man to a parallel New York, which has suffered devastation at the hands of his alternate self, Spider Carnage. This malevolent version of Peter Parker is determined to use John Ohm's portal device to destroy all realities. To thwart this apocalyptic threat, the Beyonder assembles a team of Spider-Men from various dimensions, including a six-armed Spider-Man, one with Doc Ock's tentacles, a powerless Spider-Man, and a multi-billionaire armored Spider-Man. Guided by Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider, who is believed to be a clone of Spider Carnage, they confront their evil counterpart at Crime Central. Alongside Kingpin, Smythe, Green Goblin, and Hobgoblin, Spider Carnage allies, they engage in a fierce battle. However, one of the Spider clones succumbs to mutation disease, transforming into the Man-Spider and attacking our Spider-Man and Scarlet Spider. In the thrilling conclusion, Spider-Man and the Scarlet Spider join forces to confront Kingpin and Spider Carnage in a showdown to prevent a catastrophic event. With the assistance of the powerless Spider-Man, they manage to avert the cosmic catastrophe and narrowly escape. Our Spider-Man pursues Spider Carnage into the reality of Armored Spider-Man, where he encounters a shocking twist. Gwen Stacy, his late fiancée, is still alive. However, it's soon revealed that Spider Carnage has been impersonating Peter, leading to a climactic battle where Gwen aids Peter in defeating Spider Carnage using a sonic gun. Spider Carnage takes Gwen and the bomb to a distant rooftop, but is ultimately confronted by Peter and Uncle Ben from Armored Spidey's world. Through a heartfelt conversation, Spider Carnage is persuaded to abandon his madness and, tragically, commits suicide to save the world. With the world saved, Madam Web returns Spider-Man to his reality, where he chooses to accompany the powerless Spider-Man, revealed to be an actor, Nicholas Hammond, living in a world where Spider-Man is a fictional character. In a surreal twist, Spidey meets his creator, Stan Lee, and gains a newfound appreciation for his life.
I wouldn't want to change anything about me.
Gee, you're definitely not the same guy I've been writing about all these years.
Well, Stan, we all have to grow up sometime, I suppose.
Madam Web then takes him on a journey to reunite with Mary Jane, finally achieving a hard-earned sense of happiness.